About a week ago, Frost of Rivia and a couple other employees of Second Wind actually left the company. They full out quit because of Nick Calandra. Now, who's Nick Calandra? It's the editor in chief. We talk about him a lot on this channel. We've had a little bit of beef actually, because not too long ago he took offense to my criticism and my videos, and he actually made a smear campaign along with John Phipps and a fake lawyer where they said I couldn't be around children. Yeah, they tried to give some kind of weird pedo twist, like some pedo allegations, because I said I was at a bar and there was hot young girls, and they tried to say that it was something that I shouldn't be around children, even though it's a bar with 21 and up. We covered all of this. We also talked about all of his bad behavior on Twitter. In fact, if you guys really want to know some juice, he almost got fired for his behavior on Twitter. You could see he literally admits right here that he's been off for the last month because the team intervened with him and made it clear that he would be fired if he didn't rein himself in, as he was spiraling mentally and hurting the business. So this guy had to have an intervention over his Twitter behaviors. If you guys remember, he was also on Side Scrollers, made a complete debacle and mockery of himself. And Frost of Rivia put this statement out about why he quit. He said essentially it was because Nick Calandra, that he's a terrible person to work with, that he handles money wrong, and he's overall a problem. Well, an update has come out. They put another post and also a clip from a call, which we're going to look into all this. But essentially, the too long didn't read is update on recent events. So it's going to be updating on what's happened. More people have come forward after Frost resigned. He doesn't want to rush going through all this process, and Second Wind leads are not being transparent. So here's a screenshot. We're going to take a look at it. This is a lot to go through, so just bear with me. Again, why are we covering this? Because Nick Calandra opened up a can of worms with me, and I'm a petty, spiteful son of a bitch, and when I like to see people face karma. When people face karma, I like to see it. So this was a long time coming. His behavior was trash as of late. Remember, he even shut down Smash JT's website because he got butthurt about Kotaku Detected. Yeah, so let's go on right here. It's very hard to read, so bear with me. If you guys want to go ahead, I'll leave a link down below so you guys can read the statement as well. It says, small update. My intentions and actions are no different than what Nick Calandra and I worked on prior to my resignation. Finding facts, informing people, and rooting out bad actors in the industry. These notes should be read before watching the clip provided at the bottom. On August 3rd, Nick Calandra and I were in a video call. The meeting was to come to a resolution and was put together and moderated by mutually trusted Second Wind member I will refer to as moderator to maintain their anonymity for me. The goal was to reach some sort of resolution. Both of them were aware I was recording. We ran short on time and agreed to continue at a later date. I fact-checked Nick in the interim and found lies throughout. It was a waste of time. If Nick refused to be 100% honest with moderator and me, when I brought this up to moderator, I was told Nick had already backed out of finishing the meet. So that's interesting. He was lying in this meet, and supposedly he was already backing out of furthering the conversation. Sounds kind of cowardly to me, especially if he's a head honcho at Second Wind. He didn't want to fix some kind of conflict at the workplace. Sounds to me like he needs help maturing quite a bit. Now, continuing on, Frost says, the video I am making is to explain each and every word of my resignation, provide a timeline, and supporting evidence. Since my resignation, the project has grown considerably. Nick's old coworkers from various outlets over the past 6 years reached out to me with grievances. Wow. So he has several former colleagues. Remember, he also left the Escapist or got fired there. It's kind of weird when you really sit back and think about the common denominator here. It's Nick Calandra. Continuing on, he said that those grievances echoed the ones in his resignation. He's been working nonstop to make sure every allegation is legitimate. Now, here's the best paragraph in the world, and it validates everything that anybody has ever said as far as criticism of Nick Calandra goes. It says, I believe Nick Calandra should be removed from Second Wind as well as the video game industry at large. He's shown a consistent pattern of behavior and goes against everything we were supposed to stand for consumers, developers, games, media, and workers. While the problems in Second Wind run deep, it seems it never stood a chance so long as it continued to give this man the benefit of the doubt. Wow. So flat out disavowing him being involved in the Second Wind company as well as the video game industry at all. And it feels so validating to see somebody else outside of a right-wing grifter to echo the sentiment that we said about him. This guy doesn't belong in the video game industry. This guy's a joke. He's a political activist. He claims that he doesn't play the cancel culture or the culture wars on Twitter, but this guy encouraged people's family members to get doxxed and contacted. He was all about Smash JT's wife getting contacted. He was all about censorship, taking down Smash JT's website. This guy made all that false pedophile allegations against me, which I have that video up on the channel. Several other things. He's allegedly doxed Grums, encouraged thousands of people in a Discord that are on his Patreon to dox Grums. This guy is just a vile human being. And he can't take criticism at all. He gets extremely butthurt. And he doesn't belong in the video game industry. Continuing on, he says, that is backed up by my own experience and evidence, as well as those of Nick's former coworkers and bosses, some of which Nick accidentally revealed during the call. He goes on to say more continues to appear, and finishing the video will take as long as it needs to be made. My estimate was to have it by at least this Thursday, but that stands to be seen. I'm still at work, but I have to slow it down a little to see it through. The purpose of this is once again to remain transparent where necessary and keep the community informed. It was not my intention, nor did I anticipate taking this long. So this guy's wanting to get his P's and Q's, his I's and his T's crossed and checked, he just wants to make sure everything is up and up. All right. And this is good. The walls are closing in for Nick Calandra right now. Hardcore. Now, moderator is aware that I believe the systemic issues in Second Wind run too deep for them to be fixed unless moderator steps up and takes charge of the situation for everyone's sake. I still believe the group can be fixed, but not with those systems and not with Nick Calandra. Moderator is also aware I will not return to Second Wind, but I will help create new systems, lay out a content strategy, and continue as a co-chair in streams if the team desired. I hold no ill will towards the rest of them. So it's a Nick Calandra problem. Straight up says he's not part of it if Nick Calandra's still around. I'm starting to think moderator might be Yahtzee. What about you guys? I think it's Yahtzee, who definitely does need to step up. I've heard that echoed everywhere on social media. I've seen people pleading Yahtzee to take a look at Nick Calandra's behavior. I'm banned by Second Wind on Twitter, by the way, so I can't respond or write or read anything that they say, which is kind of interesting. I think Nick Calandra might have did that. Now, to end this, he says, I'd also like this to be a wellness check from me and a thank you to those of you reaching out with support. Despite it all, I'm in good spirits, just a little sleep deprived. I know all of this appeared heated and irrational, but it's a decision I took with a clear head and plenty of deliberation. Those who are asking for a way to support me financially, I appreciate you and will think on it once I come to terms with what I want to do after this is said and done. The video is my top priority at the moment. So, good on him. Good on him. Now, let's take a look at this clip. This is part of, I guess, a phone call or something that he had with Nick Calandra, just for the context of it. So he says, please read everything else I wrote first. I'd like you to have all the context. The three of us did not feel confident in HR's ability to fulfill that role. All right. So it's a 1 and 22-second video.
Personally, I'm happy to bring it up if people.
So this is Frost, this is Calandra, this is moderator, who's being, I guess, their identity protected and their voice and their name. You'll see that is blanked out and edited out of here. I'm thinking it's Yahtzee. For whatever reason, they want to keep it secret. Still kind of weird, but let's watch.
People want me to, but I feel like we should have a vote on who we decide as HR, because I would vote for you to be HR over Jack.
I asked Nick if he recalled that Jack had already taken on the role of HR due to a situation between Nick and another coworker in January. Skip the parts with names for anonymity. I always trip on that word. So apparently he had a Nick is just causing problems left and right.
He like assumed the role of HR and then he didn't really do it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
It's the same thing with payroll where he got stressed and then he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, because when I
And look,
brought,
we've
sorry.
same conversations about like Adventure is Nigh. Like, why is it taking so long? What is Jackman doing this whole time? Like, why isn't season 4 even started yet? And we filmed it 5 months ago. There's I think we have a lot of systemic issues to solve. I don't know if Jack is the one to solve them. I don't know if he has the organizational skills to do it. It wasn't getting done regardless, right? Because it's all up until now, it's been kind of my job to do all that stuff. We're in this weird middle ground of a co-op where we're all supposed to be equal, right? But we also run ourselves like a corporation a little bit. And there's clashes over that right now that we're seeing, and there's been clashes about that.
Pretty interesting, honestly. It does seem like there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of lack of moderation, a lot of lack control from top brass, and I can see how that could definitely be frustrating, but it doesn't look like it's good for Nick at all. This video coming out is supposedly having a lot of evidence against him, and I'm going to be tuned into it. Again, Nick Calandra's had a lot of bad behavior online, and apparently that was an issue that people at Second Wind were well aware of and concerned about, to where they had an intervention. And apparently he's been rubbing a lot of people the wrong way at work too, that are resigning and coming forward, and we even have former coworkers. So now let's move on to the other screenshot. It's still a lot of text, so just bear with me. They say, I'd also like to extend an invitation for Second Wind's leads to be transparent. From eternal sources, I know they are waiting for my video to release first so they can figure out how to respond. They don't have to wait to take action, but personally, I would take any message with a grain of salt unless it comes directly from moderator or is backed by moderator. Again, I think it's Yahtzee. For the time being, I have attached a clip of Nick Calandra saying he does not think the self-appointed HR is fit for the role and that Second Wind is clashing internally. This is proof of the moderated call. I believe it also speaks to my credibility and brings into question what's been presented as public statements from Second Wind. From my experience, the HR has a habit of speaking from an ideological perspective rather than reality. So while I don't think they're malicious, I do think they're part of the reason things couldn't be fixed, and tried to make it known to the team well before I left. All right, so that makes sense. No faith in any of the stuff because they work on woke ideology type of nonsense. There are a lot of activists in that group that want to push narratives instead. But if they won't be transparent, I'd at least ask the Second Wind leads to stop misrepresenting the group, whether intentional or unintentional. At times, an individual can't speak out in games media due to public perception, career, or even financial needs. Not being honest with messaging takes away the group's individual silence. I don't want them to speak for or against me if they don't feel the need to, and have told the ones I'm still in contact with that I respect their choice. So that's interesting. I think saying that they need to stop misrepresenting the group, which I think kind of coincides with Nick Calandra's social media behavior, is an interesting statement to see here. I really can't wait to see the evidence that he's going to be showing in the video. He continues to say, as for questions of my professionalism, I don't make moves lightly. Every word in my resignation and in this statement is carefully placed and peer reviewed. Even though it seems like it, I am not alone. I don't believe speaking out against wrongs is lacking in professionalism. I believe that notion is what makes it harder for people to speak out. I feel my actions filter out the kind of people and business opportunities that I don't want to be associated with. It also attracts the kind of people and business that I can trust. No matter what happens after this, I wish to remain independent, as that's the only way I feel I can continue to try and do right by consumers, developers, workers, and creatives. We did not rise from the ashes. We rose from the goodwill of the people, propping us up to be the change the industry needed. That is a lot to soak in, saying that they mean what they say, that they're not making moves lightly. This guy is coming with a lot of force, and he's speaking out against people that are lacking professionalism, most notably Nick Calandra. So I think this is war here. Now there's a last part right here before we get into the call. They said that there's examples of misrepresented messaging. As presented, the team did not agree to fire the head of sales, nor did they choose to keep Nick. 6 of 13 owners voted to keep Nick, 4 of which were leads. 2 were undecided. 1 voted to kick. 4 were missing, including Nick. In contrast, 5 leads fired the head of sales out of the blue, yet no meeting was called. In our final meeting, I reiterated for the last time that the systems were no good. If head of sales was worth firing, then so is Nick. If Nick was worth keeping, then so was head of sales. Or if only one needed to go, then both still deserved a better and equal process. On top of that, all the focus is being put on Nick's social media usage when that isn't what this is about. Yes, leads threatened him with removal. We still have issues internally, and that's what brought about 2 more motions, one for demotion and one for removal. The phrasing is ambiguous, and people should be made aware that it is not in any way a Frost versus Second Wind situation. It is Frost versus Nick and the systems that caused Second Wind to crack that he's exploited for the past 6 years, the very systems that we were working to shine a light on in the industry. So apparently this has been going on for 6 fucking years, a situation that he's been exploiting. The systems, like I really want to read in depth on this. Now he shows proof of a moderated video call recorded on August 3rd, censored voice and identity of moderator, and mentioned Second Wind members that aren't the current HR. With respect to moderator, they wanted to express that they wanted to go on record that they didn't think recording conversations was conductive to reaching an understanding or resolution, and also stated, I'll just add, I would hope that this isn't recorded, that everyone's shown up here with the sentiment of coming to bring in this matter to a close, right? Again, you might disagree with that sentiment. You might choose to do that on your own side. I'll just put that at the start. Nick responded, I'm not recording if you're not. I responded, I am, for full disclosure, for the sake of transparency. As much as it is for me, it's for y'all. It's for the team. None of this he said, she said. This is how it went down. And then he says, if you've read everything else, you may now look at the link. So, dude, this is collapsing. And it is a fitting end because of how Nick Calandra is. I mean, this probably goes deeper than we all realize how bad his behavior really is, especially being, I guess, a lead in a company. Like, this is not a good look at all. And I'm sorry, that was a lot of text to go through. But this guy is being very in-depth, which leads me to believe that his side of the story has a lot of facts on it. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens here. Whoo, little Nicky, you're in trouble. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe if you're brand new. I'll see you on the next one.